The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Bola Tinubu, has finally constituted the implementation committee members consisting of 44 persons that will be championing, the 30-day National Youth Conference that he promised Nigerian, or rather, that he promised Nigerian youth. Do not forget that this is about 5 months after Alhaji Bola Tinubu promised Nigerian youth at the last, Democracy Day celebration, precisely in October in the year 2024, that he was going to have a 30 days national, youth conference where Nigerian youth will gather in their numbers to discuss, critical issues facing the country. He talked about that last year, 2024, and he finally rolled out a plan, while inaugurating a 44-member implementation committee, team that will champion that. And according to the information that was made available by the presidency, these 44-man committee members will be chaired, by the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Youth Development, Mr. Olubumi. And the objectives of this implementation committee, or the discussion with the Nigerian youth alongside with Alhaji Bola Tinubu, will be focusing more on political governance. It will be focusing more on economic transformation. It will be focusing more on security. It will be focusing more on artificial intelligence. It will also be focusing more on climate change and energy transition. These are part of the core objectives that will be presented on the table of discussion with the Nigerian youth when this 44-member implementation team will swing into action. Part of the processes they are already putting in place is that there will be virtual consultation. People will call in, electronically, and then there will also be phone calls, to derive and establish the memoranda, and also there will be town hall meetings, and finally, a final congress will be held in Abuja, to conclude the entire process. This is commendable, from the government of Alhaji Bola Tinubu. I have my concern, but before I go into that, a lot of people have tagged me in videos. Some people also send it to my DM saying that they heard that Alhaji Bola Tinubu has responded to Verydarkman. Is it true and all of that? I was just laughing, because I listened to the president of Singapore very, previously, and he said something that really struck me so badly as a Nigerian, as an African. In that video, the prime minister, I meant to say, went further to say that Singapore has invested so much on education that in Singapore now, the level of illiteracy is about 2% or less than 2%. That it means that about 98% of Singaporeans can read and write very well. You see, part of the confusions politicians have caused in this part of the world is, impoverishing a larger majority of Nigerians, and then constituting a situation that brought about a larger number of millions of, out of school children. And even some of the people who even go to school, some of them no still get better sense. You know what I mean? So why do I say this? Well, it is immaterial whether Alhaji Bola Tinubu replied to Verydarkman or not. It shouldn't be a problem, as far as Nigeria is concerned. But if you critically observe, the introduction of my video, Alhaji Bola Tinubu already talked about this, confederation, 30 days National Youth Conference with the Nigerian youth since last year, 2024. And then inaugurating the 44-member committee, team, which coincide a day after Verydarkman made his video. Well, if you say it was a response to Verydarkman, you may be right. If you say it was not a response to Verydarkman, you may be correct. But if you look at it, you will find out that federal government has already been working on this very issue even before Verydarkman made his video. But in all honesty, I think it is just a mere coincidence. Yes. Except there is something else they are not telling us. You know what I mean? If you watch my last video, where I reacted to the video he directed to Sheyi Tinubu to talk to his father and all of that, there is something I said at the end of that video. I talked about either he's seeking Sheyi Tinubu's attention or he's famsing Sheyi Tinubu, or there is already a discussion. And if truly there was a discussion between himself and the APC government, the next steps will certainly make it very open that truly there was a discussion. And I can tell you, if there is a discussion truly, or if there was a discussion truly, that discussion is simply, gearing towards 2027 presidential election. That is all I can see. That is the usual whims and caprices of politicians in this part of the world. Nothing happens for nothing. Yes. And the next thing you will begin to hear is, let VDM go and represent us. Well, for me, I have no problems with that. But anyways, it means that he is now mixing activism with politics, with active politics, which does not entirely make sense. The youth of Nigeria must not be misled. There are too many complex problems in Nigeria that need to be solved, of which many experts have contributed. That is the focus of this very video. That youth conference alone will not solve the problem of Nigeria. A lot of experts have, lamented that without abolishing the 1999 constitution of this country or reviewing it appropriately, that Nigeria will not make any significant progress in terms of, infrastructural development or even youth development. Again, there has been conference upon conference in this country, starting with the previous government. There was one with Yaradua, there was one with Goodluck Jonathan. I think there was also another recommendation to Buhari. And here we are with Alhaji Bola Tinubu. So, in part of those recommendations that were given before was to go back to regional governance. Regional governance is another practice that will make Nigeria very competitive. Yes, regional governance will bring out the potentials from all the regions. And it will reduce the concentration of unnecessary power to the center. The tussle, the battle we always have every 4 years during an election of who becomes the president. So being president will now become ceremonial, and it will now become relatively peaceful in Nigeria if we go back to regional governance. There are so many things to do. Some of these things we are doing, we end up becoming white elephant project. Some people at the end of the day definitely will benefit from it, why a larger majority will not see anything at the end of the day. If the problem will still be there. So why the government is taking this step? There are other things that are, very, very important to be done in this country, so that there will be sustainability of economic growth in Nigeria. There will be sustainability of progress in Nigeria. Part of it is abolishing 1999 constitution or reviewing it entirely and going back to regional governance. Let the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria go back and begin to take care of themselves and pay tax to the center. Back to their region. These are some of the steps that will help this country to recover. Otherwise, we will continue to talk story. Tribalism, ethnicity will continue to destroy all of us. Yes. Well, at this point, we will continue to speak and we will continue to wait for the next line of action, from this very, step that the federal government has taken, and see what becomes of it at the end of the day. But don't forget to let me know what you think in the comment section and share this video. Man, another person see him. God bless you.